Michigan will play Washington for the College Football National Championship next Monday night in Houston. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I have a dream.
On Friday, January 12th, as we head into Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. annual holiday weekend, KBLA Talk 1580 will announce a historic climate justice campaign aimed at California communities of color. KBLA Talk 1580 is joined in this historic effort by both public and private partners including LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Cal and Dow, the Sierra Club, and many other partners. There's a clear connection between Dr. King's moral conscience on the notion of reverence for all human life and the future of our world house. This year, on the MLK holiday weekend, KBLA assigns itself the task of elevating the climate conversation by amplifying the voices of those who are most impacted by the climate catastrophes we are witnessing in real time. Stay tuned for more details. At KBLA Talk 1580, Climate is king.
With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. A sugar and spice.
That's the Godfather of Soul, James Brown.
Feel nice.
I am Tavis Smiley.
Sugar and spice.
I'm delighted to have you tuned into our program today. You've heard me say oftentimes on this program that in this business, either feast or famine. Some days you walk in and it's a slow news day. Other days you walk in and there are too many stories to cover. And then some days you get breaking news while you're on the air, and it just causes a pivot, a transition in everything that you had planned or expected to talk about. I am honored to have on this program in this hour, as I do every year. It has been my way for many years now, both on television and radio, to always call my friend Les Brown, the motivator, to join us in the first week, to help you maximize the moment that is. And we'll get to some of that, I promise, in this hour. He's standing by. I'll get to him in just a second. We'll get some motivation your way. You can't talk to Les Brown without just being, every time I talk to Les, I levitate out of the room. I don't even walk out. I just levitate out, because he always has a way of lifting me up when we have conversations. He's always encouraging, enlightening, and inspiring and empowering for me. And so I look forward to getting some of that in this hour. But that said, it's the first back to work day of the year, and we've got breaking news already. In case you've just tuned in, we discussed this, broke this story in our last hour, or shared the breaking news with you. Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, the first African-American to lead that esteemed institution, first African-American, first black woman, second woman to lead it, announced her resignation. Many of us, again, fretted that this might happen. We knew the heat was on, the pressure was on. The board at Harvard at one point came out days after that congressional hearing, where she and Liz McGill and Ms. Kornbluth at MIT, all three of these presidents, Harvard, UPenn, MIT, embarrassed, frankly, in that hearing. If you saw it or heard it, they didn't handle that moment as well as they should have. Not their best moment. And yet, my friend Brian Stevenson says all the time that none of us is our worst deed. None of us is our worst act. I put it this way, that some of us is not the sum of us. The SOME of us is not the SUM of us. But all moments are not created equal. I mean, you get caught in a congressional hearing like that, and you can't navigate a question the way you ought to navigate it. Sometimes all hell breaks loose. And so Liz McGill went down at UPenn first. Claudine Gay now has gone down at Harvard. We'll see what happens with Ms. Kornbluth at MIT. She's still holding on at the moment. But Republicans want all three of them out. So it's going to be fascinating in the hours and days ahead to see a few things. One, I'm curious as to what the black faculty at Harvard will have to say. I know many of these persons personally, Skip Gates and Randall Kennedy and Charles Ogletree, and long list of black faculty at Harvard. Fascinating to see what they will have to say in the hours or days ahead about the fact that Claudine Gay essentially was forced out. Here's the irony of this. We are being told, again, this is a developing story. We're being told now that Claudine Gay will be allowed to remain on the faculty, but she will not be president. Now, let me just pause for a second here. I just told you in the last hour about stories that I know, not what I've heard, be it Doris Kearns Goodwin, one of the nation's noted historians, most noted historians, probably the most famous historian, certainly the most famous female historian. You see Doris Kearns Goodwin all the time on television. You hear her on radio. You see her in print. She had her plagiarism moment, and it didn't stop her career. Lawrence Tribe, one of the most well-known, highly regarded professors at Harvard Law, it didn't stop him, and he got caught. Joe Biden plagiarized when he ran for president years ago, plagiarized another politician named Neil Kinnock out of the UK, and Joe Biden still became your president. Your president is a plagiarist, and he still got elected. Claudine Gay, of course, goes down. And I said moments ago, how did we get from anti-Semitism to plagiarism? It's clear to me that they wanted her out of the presidency. Now, here's the evidence. She's being allowed to remain on the faculty, but you can't be president. So hold up now, hold up. Let's assume that she did plagiarize in the worst way. It's okay for you to keep teaching our kids as you lie in your scholarly work. You can plagiarize in your scholarly work and still teach our kids at Harvard, but you can't run the institution. Okay, it just ain't making no kind of sense to me. And I'm laughing about it because on the one hand, it is sort of funny. On the other hand, it just goes to show what the end and aim was from the very beginning. From the very beginning. That's just my take at the moment. I'll have a lot more to say, of course, tomorrow on this program. I haven't seen the rundown for tomorrow's show, but I can't imagine that we're going to start tomorrow's show with anything other than a conversation about this. That said, I am pleased to welcome to this program. I got a couple questions I want to ask him. This story is developing, so I don't want to put him in a spot where he's talking about the case. He don't know about the case any more than I know. I'm just reading to you what I'm learning in real time. But there are some broader themes here, some broader questions that we can talk to the motivator Les Brown about, and I want to do that right about now. Les Brown, happy birthday, happy New Year, my friend. How are you today?
And listen, I am cancer-free, I am debt-free, and I'm drama-free.
I love it. Claudine Gay's life at Harvard is not drama-free, and I'm praying for the sister. She just went to the very top of my prayer list because I know what she's about to go through for the next couple of days, and it ain't going to be cute. But let me just ask you again some broad questions here. Let me do this. I'm looking at my clock. Let me when we come forward, there are some broader questions that I think each of us can wrestle with in this moment as the nation is discussing this story right now. Here's the first black woman to lead Harvard. Historic moment, and now she's made history again as the shortest tenured president of any president in the history of Harvard. She came and she went, poof, just like that. And there are questions to be asked. I read this quote in our last hour less, and we come forward. I'll get your take on this. All kinds of comments I'm receiving from people, but one person said Claudine Gay, has ruined it. She's ruined it for other black academics, and for me, that is unforgivable. That's a loaded statement. But if you've been black any length of time in your life, have you ever done something where people said that you couldn't be forgiven for it, or you felt that what you did just ruined it for everybody else black? That's where we'll start, and we'll jump from there when we come forward with Les Brown, the motivator, on Tavis Smiley.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, And I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
This is Tavis Smiley in conversation with Les Brown. We expected to go in this direction, but now we're going in this direction, and that's how life is. And as a black person, you better figure that out. Because life comes at you real fast, and it requires you to pivot in a variety of ways. So, Les Brown, let me just start with this big question that I mentioned a moment ago, whether or not, to your mind, Claudine Gay has ruined it for all black academicians.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today. And let me ask you a question, please.
Mm-hmm.
How much time did you spend being interviewed by other people when you were fired?
How much time did I spend? It's a good question. Initially, I did a round of interviews on national media, and that lasted for 2 or 3 days. And after that, I didn't do a great deal more than that. But initially, it was pretty intense.
Okay, the reason I asked you that question, Helen Keller said that when one door closes, another door opens.
Mm-hmm.
But most of us spend so much time looking at the closed door. Had you not been fired, you would not purchase the building where you are now. You would not have been involved in building a media empire that's transforming people's lives. Had I not been fired from WBKO radio station in Columbus, Ohio, I would not have been able to speak to people around the world. There's a quote that I identify with as I was listening to you. In life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
Mm.
She's 53 years old. There's nothing tragic about this. She's lost a job. All of us have gone through that kind of experience. And she's young. I'm 79. And I'm saying to you that life happens. Think it not strange that you're faced with fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might. You will have tribulations. And one of the reasons that I'm going from this place with you, that most people listening who've made New Year's resolutions of how to do more in 2024 is that they have too many things that they're concerned about that they can do absolutely nothing about. That doesn't put any food on their table. It doesn't keep a roof over their heads. That they are distracted by secondary activity. And when we look at where we are and what's going on now politically and economically, over 325 million jobs will be placed by artificial intelligence. We've got to be on point. We've got to be focused. We've got to be asking ourselves the questions when we look at the goals that we set for ourselves this year and beyond. What is it that I have to change about me? What thinking, what skills? All of us are one skill set from a new life. What is it? What new relationships do I need to develop? Part of the problem that most people are not going to achieve their goals this year is because they have not detoxified their lives. They got too many family members and friends that's not going in the direction that they're going in, that's pulling at them, that's draining them. One of the quotes I wrote the other day, that many of the people that we're trying to pull up will pull us down before we can pull them up because they won't participate in their own rescue. She's going to be fine. She's still got a job, and she can now expand her talents, abilities, and skills in another area that she couldn't do as the president of Harvard.
I received that, and that's exactly what she needs to be hearing in a moment like this. That this ain't, it may be the end of one chapter, but there's so many other chapters to be written. To your point, she's very young and obviously gifted at the age of 53. Let me come back to this question I asked earlier, though. What you say to black people who believe that when one of us makes a mistake, when one of us makes an error in judgment, when one of us gets caught up in whatever it might be, that casts a long shadow over all the rest of us black people, Les?
Don't repeat that kind of stuff. That's crazy. What you're doing, you're giving airtime to a conversation that's not worthy of you and your audience. There's certain things we have to ignore and not buy into. This, when you think about what you are doing and your vision of giving us a vision larger than our mental conditioning and elevating our thinking so that we will have the skill set, the mindset to build collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships at one of the most important times in history. There's a shift that's taking place in terms of wealth. More millionaires are being created now, African-American millionaires and other people of color, than any other time because of the Internet. And so you have always been the person to focus on keeping the main thing the main thing. There will always be distractors. There will always be people who are saying some crazy stuff, and they're not worthy of our time or conversation.
At the start of this year, as people are, to your point, establishing and setting their New Year's resolutions, what say you about the way we go about setting our expectations of ourselves? I got into a bit of this in our last hour, but I wanted to drill down a bit more with you in this hour, Les. This notion of how we go about setting the expectations for ourselves this year. What can you say to us about setting expectations?
The number one thing that we need to do is do what Dr. Carter G. Woodson said. Self-awareness is major. He said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you'll never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. Today you have a news story about a rapper. And we have seen in the media 50 years honoring rap music. There's no genre that has caused more death, that has created what I call a virus of HIV, hood-infected virus, AIDS, addiction to incarceration, and death syndrome. There's nothing. You never heard of the Temptations or the Four Tops or the OJs shooting and killing each other because they had some kind of beef. This thug mentality is a lady that I'm working with, and I love for you to interview her. She worked with kids, and I asked her, what's your approach? You know what she said? I asked them, what do you listen to? Once I find out their playlist, she had them write it out. Once I find out their playlist, now I know what I'm dealing with. Well, when you look at your station, you're going in a totally opposite direction that's designed to elevate our thinking, expand our vision, and teach us how to turn to each other rather than on each other so that we can build a legacy as opposed to when we die, we leave liabilities. One of the things that's become fashionable in our community, having GoFundMes to bury somebody's behind because they lived a life of no consequence.
Since you went,
don't come for me. I didn't call an Uber. Don't come for me today.
I'm already here, and you're gonna deal with me. Here's my question: since you went there, what is your indictment of GoFundMe campaigns in those instances?
We should live our lives in such a way that we are focused on a good man leaves a legacy for his children and his children's children. That we focus on taking care of the old man in myself. The reason at 79 I'm still speaking, I'm still training, is because I'm actively engaged in life. We know the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so we have so many young men who consider it street credibility when they go to jail and get a criminal record. We have so many sperm donors. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she's filed a suit against her former husband, the mother of her children, $47,000 for non-support. And I asked her, how much was support that he had to pay on a monthly basis? She said $14 a kid. 3 kids. He ain't paid nothing. And I'm saying that there are behaviors that we're engaged in that we have to call it. Women can't call this out. But we as men, we can talk about the fact that we now have to step up and be more responsible, more engaged as fathers, as husbands, or significant others to hold ourselves to a higher standard so that our children will have something to look up to. When you look at the people that are doing extremely well in different areas of sports, you look at Tiger Woods, his father was involved. You look at Mayweather, his father was involved. When you look at the people that are out here making a difference, they had some father participation. And so now, I mean, my heart goes out to this lady who lost her job. And, well, she lost the presidency, but she still got a job. And she's a Harvard graduate, so she's going to be well. What I'm concerned about and what you're concerned about and why this station exists is to begin to detoxify our minds, to begin to help us to elevate ourselves in terms of our self-awareness, which increases our sense of self-worth. And when you increase your sense of value in life and are inspired to live a life that will outlive you, that will commit you to engage in actions and standards that will allow you to live a life that has impact, a life that matters.
All right, so I want you to receive this next question in the spirit that I'm giving it to you. You and I are dear friends and brothers, and so you understand my motive.
Yes, we are. We are family.
We're family. You understand my motive in asking this question, so just work with me here. One way to read what you said in the last 5 minutes, your indictment of hip-hop, your indictment of prison culture, making its way to the streets, et cetera, et cetera. One way to read what you said in the last 5 minutes is that you are calling us to a higher standard. You, in fact, said that. The other way to read what I've heard in the last 5 minutes, what the audience has heard, is that at 79, the older you get, the harder you're getting on black people, the tougher you're getting on black people. And if that's true, that's as real as rain, and you got to own that. But my question is whether or not I should read what you said in the last 5 minutes as calling us to a higher standard, or Les Brown is just getting tougher and tougher on his own people.
Not at all. Let me say something to you that the reason you are where you are And the reason that I am where I am is because we didn't spend time looking at and trying to figure out what are white people going to do to hold us back.
Mm-hmm.
We spent our time focused on winning, finding a way to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. I mean, when you tell about the things that have happened to Dr. Gay, hey, we go through that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a surprise? No. And so I'm saying to you that it's not that I'm harder on us, but what I'm saying is we got to be mindful. You know, we hear this expression, garbage in, garbage out. No. We got to be mindful of what our children are listening to. It will appall you if you heard some of the stuff that they're saturating with their minds. Now, with the thoughts that you entertain shows up in your words, and your words that you embrace, it shows up in your character. I was in the grocery store, and a little boy was pulling some potato chips off the shelf, and the cashier said, "Ma'am, would you please stop your son from doing that?" And this little boy, about 5 years old, he said, "Shut the hell up," and everybody laughed.
Yeah.
There's nothing funny about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying to you that you just imagine when I listen to you speak and the people that you brought on, just think about how different it is, the experience of listening to this station. And I don't hear anybody using MF. They know they can't bring that to you. They know who you are. And so if you look at our athletes and various celebrities, and I was telling a friend of mine that in my coaching class, and he told me the title of his speech was, "You Are the Shit." I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Look, do you plan to speak to kids as well?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Listen, I teach kids that profanity is the strongest expression of a weak mind. We've gone to the place where vulgarity has become the new normal." No. Mr. Washington, who I never knew my biological father, and I just found out 2 years ago, saw a picture of him. But Mr. Washington said something to me, this high school teacher, that I really adopted him as my spiritual father. He said, "Young man, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are." If we don't do anything else, but as people listen to this station all across this country, doesn't cost anything, a free app, do nothing but retrain our thinking and teach us the methods and techniques that allow us to navigate this era of the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition, and hold ourselves to a higher standard in terms of the things that we want to achieve. If we don't do nothing else, we would be doing a major service to our people.
We'll talk more about that higher standard when we come forward with the motivator, Les Brown, you're listening to right now on Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive. Unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, "Hey, we're not going to give up." And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Thank you for joining us on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest. Former New York Jets star Mohammed Wilkerson is arrested again for DWI. TMZ Sports reporting that Morris County Police pulled the African-American former player over for drunk driving on December 22nd and that he failed a sobriety test. Cops say they found an open liquor bottle and a handgun under his car seat containing 11 hollow point bullets. Some lucky winner or winners will be starting off the new year hundreds of millions of dollars richer after Monday's Powerball drawing. A single winning ticket was sold in Michigan just outside of Flint and was worth an estimated $842 million. Should they take the cash option, that works out to just over $425 million. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Is this the tether? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers beat Miami last night by 17 at Crypto.com. Third straight win for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard had 24 points, 5 assists, and 4 steals. 10 assists for James Harden. The Clippers are 8-2 in their last 10 games. The Lakers are off until Wednesday night. They play Miami at Crypto. The Rams are in the playoffs, but they've got some serious issues with their kicking game. The Rams cut place kicker Lucas Havlicek on Monday. Havlicek missed 2 extra points in the Rams win over the Giants in New York. The Rams are giving Brett Mayer a second chance. He was re-signed Monday afternoon to replace Havlicek. Mayer was cut in Week 7 after he missed 6 field goals and an extra point. Michigan will play Washington for the College Football National Championship next Monday night in Houston. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Les Brown coming your way right now. The Motivator is our guest in this hour, and I am pleased, as always, to be in dialogue with him. Les, I wanted to get to this earlier, and we've been going 18 mile an hour in a variety of different directions here. But I wanted to come back to this right quick. You mentioned earlier this notion of skill set and mindset. And you want to challenge us to make sure that we're in the right frame with regard to both of those as we move through 2024. What is the relationship between skill set and mindset?
When you look at where we are right now, many people are intimidated by artificial intelligence. You and I came up during the time of Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, and they had a song called Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, Baby.
Mm-hmm.
That artificial intelligence doesn't have a heart. And so you say, well, Les, you being hard on black people. No. Listen, according to the Federal Reserve out of Milwaukee, a white high school dropout will create 3 times more wealth than a black or Latino college graduate. So there's a different standard. We have to be extraordinary in order to be considered average. And we're living at a time where we have the ability to create our own economies. Let's take Dr. Gay, for instance. Let's say that she doesn't want to be at Harvard anymore. Well, anybody that's listening right now, if they spend out of 365 days a year, just 18 minutes a day for 100 days, they will, in an area of reading and some area that they're interested in, they'll be better than 95% of the population. Just 18 minutes a day. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying to you, that we have access to information. Today, failure is an option. And what we've got to do is prioritize our time on self-development, prioritize our thinking for where we are right now. Einstein said the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. Many people are going to fail this year because they're coming into 2024 with a 2023 mindset. And life is evolving. And so we have to run just to stand still.
I'm thinking as you're speaking, Les, about this notion of mindset. I'll come to skill set in a second. But I think of mindset, so much of the ways in which our minds work in our community has to do with generations of conditioning. And that goes all the way back to Jim Crow and Jane Crow, all the way back to the slavery era. So much of it is just conditioning. What are you saying to people? What have you been saying over the years you've been doing this about how to change one's mindset when you and I both know that a lot of that is conditioned?
Without any questions. Mindsets are created by words, the words that we speak, the words that we say to ourselves, as psychologists call your self-explanatory style. Anybody listening now, if they go online on YouTube and put in Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome, it's not over till you win, or it's possible, or getting unstuck, and listen every day for 90 days, that will override the mental conditioning, because constantly I'm saying you have something special. You've got greatness in you. You've got to be hungry, and people that are hungry are unstoppable and relentless and refuse to give up. We have to reverse those things that have been installed in us ourselves. We have to be an active force in creating the kind of life that we want. Abraham Lincoln said, my future is bright because I'm going to create it. And that's the kind of mindset this radio station is creating for our people, saying your future is bright because now you can take responsibility with the access that you have to information and the internet to create your own tomorrow.
I've heard you say this more than once, more times than I can count, frankly, and you just referenced it a moment ago. It is one of your standard lines. Anybody who's ever followed you, as I have for decades now, has heard you say time and time again that you have greatness within you. I love the way you phrase it. I love the way you lay on it. But that's your line, that you have greatness within you. Tell me why you believe that that is true for every single person, Les, that you have greatness within you.
You're made in the likeness and image of God. You've been given authority and dominion over everything of the face of the earth. It doesn't get any better than that. That's why we're taught when the disciples were amazed at the miracles that Jesus performed, he said, these things ye shall do, and greater things shall ye do. So we were born and preserved for such a time as this to do the greater work. When you got fired, you didn't stop and sit around and whine. You are now engaged in the greater work and impacting the lives of people around the globe and people that you'll never meet.
Yeah. What do you say to people right now who are, and we got into some of this in our first hour with our regular contributor, Connie Rice, we know that 2024, this is true. This is obviously true for every year. But let me just set this up and frame it properly. Every year is fraught with challenges, no question about that. But we know at the start, first day back to work this year, we know this year is going to be fraught with all kind of havoc. And we know that because the Israel-Hamas war came, we brought it into this year with us. Russia-Ukraine, we brought it into this year with us. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, all that nonsense, all those political antics, that's going to be on the docket for this year. And this is just day one. We just talked about Claudine Gay being forced out at Harvard on day one. So we know this year, in a variety of ways, is going to be fraught with havoc. And there are a lot of people who are already fearful about what this year is going to be, what it portends. Connie Rice and I were discussing again less in our first hour that this year reminds her, and I concur with her, this year at the onset reminds me of 1968. I was just a kid in 1968, just 3 or 4 years old at the time. But the point is, from my study, my read of history, we know how cataclysmic a year 1968 was. And we can go beyond Bobby Kennedy's assassination and MLK's assassination. It was just a tumultuous year. And as you know, books and movies and documentaries have been done about 68 because it was such a tumultuous year. It feels like 2024 has those kinds of trappings. It may turn out to be one of those kinds of years. And that makes some people fearful, Les. It's going to be a tough year for a lot of people.
First of all, you're incorrect. It doesn't make people fearful. People choose to be fearful. All adversity is pregnant with opportunities. I hired a group of people. It was 3 people to do my grass when I was living in Miami and to clean my swimming pool.
Hey, Les, hold up. When you said you are of a generation, when you say do your grass, you mean cut your grass. You don't mean weed, right?
Yeah.
You mean cut your grass, not do your grass.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you for the correction.
I'm just clarifying, brother. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I asked them to cut my grass. They were soliciting my business, and I said yes. 3 months later, they had a brand new car. 3 months later, they had a piece of property, and this guy who could barely speak English, he was hiring other people to cut people's grass in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a friend who's bilingual. I said, how could they do this in the middle of a recession? And he came back and he said, Les, I said, what? They don't know it's a recession. We got to change the narrative.
Yeah.
We got to change. We got to be saying this is a great time. If you woke up this morning in your right mind and you open your eyes, everything else is gravy. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, fell in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We've come over a way that with tears have been watered. We've come treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered. Do you know who we are? Come on. This is nothing.
His name is Les Brown, and you're listening right now on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, pursuing justice through participatory democracy. Listen to KBLA Talk 1580 Saturday morning, January 13th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for an exclusive forum featuring the candidates for LA County District Attorney. Join KBLA's Tavis Smiley as he helps navigate what promises to be a forum full of fire when the candidates trying to unseat current LADA George Gascon come together on stage on the campus of the Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. Again, it's the LA County District Attorney Forum, live, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580, Saturday morning, January 13th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., helping to raise your civic IQ. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
Les Brown, I want to talk to you here about for a moment about consistency. I heard I was reading a book one time by a great South African freedom fighter named Robert Sobukwe. Just an amazing South African activist and a powerful text. And in this book, I wish I could quote it, but he wrote so brilliantly about the notion of consistency. And he was saying that there are a lot of things in life that matters, but to his mind, the thing that mattered most was being consistent over a period of time. I raised that because here we are at the start of the year, and everybody has these resolutions, all these commitments they make, and then a month, 2, 3 months into the year, people they stop doing what they said they were going to do just a matter of weeks ago. What have you learned over the years about the difficulty of being consistent in our commitments, whatever they may be?
Consistency comes out of being disciplined. Socrates said an undisciplined life is an insane life. So when people are consistent and they honor the commitment that they make to themselves, keeping the main thing, and then they are creative and create collaborative, achievement-driven, supported relationships, they can move the world. There's no question about it. And so, and consistency and discipline is doing it even if you don't feel like it. If you do what you know and not what you feel, you will be consistent. You will be disciplined. You will honor yourself in the commitment you made to yourself and to your family to live a life that matters.
Yeah. You started this conversation. I've never asked you this publicly, but I want to ask anyway, if you don't mind. You started this conversation saying that you always say it, and it's always funny to me, that you are cancer-free, you are debt-free, and you are drama-free. And I love that line. Let me come to the first, the cancer-free. Here you have been now for decades, motivating people all around the world. And then later in your life, you get stricken with cancer, which you've been very fortunate and blessed to beat back on more than one occasion now. Here you are again at 79, debt-free, cancer-free, and drama-free. What are you learning in your own personal battle with cancer, Les Brown?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say I received from Cancer Center's Award of Perseverance, 39-year fourth-stage prostate cancer, 39 years. Fourth stage. Okay, so here's what I discovered. Number one, time matters. I said at the beginning, prioritize your time. That make your life count. That most people if everybody listening right now, I'm going to give a suggestion if they want to achieve the goals they've set out for themselves. For the next 90 days, say no. If it's not on your agenda, if it does not create momentum and move you in the direction of your goals and dreams and things that you want to achieve in life, say no. Stop making someone a priority who's made you an option. Say no to family members and friends. Oh, that's difficult. Let me tell you how to do it. Listen, I got a full plate, but if I can get back to you as soon as I see an opening, I'll do that. But right now, I can't do it. I got a full plate. And if people did that, the reason that you have not done the things that you can do, and the same thing for myself, we've said no. I mean, we've said no to things that other people said yes to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You see, and so therefore, when you prioritize, because every time you say yes to something that's not on your plate, you're saying no to something for yourself, for your family, and for your future.
There's the first answer that he's learned in his own cancer battle, that time matters. We will wrap this conversation with Les Brown getting those other 2 or 3 things that he teed up that he's learned in his own personal battle at this stage of his life. You're listening to Les Brown on Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, LA, save water and put money in your pocket with rebates from LADWP. Start saving with free shower heads and faucet aerators. Then save with every flush when you upgrade to a water-efficient toilet and get a $250 rebate. You can also save on every load of laundry with a high-efficiency clothes washer and get a $500 rebate. That's right, LADWP customers can get $500 rebates on qualifying clothes washers. See all the ways to save at ladwp.com/save.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and the motivator, Les Brown. Got about 3 minutes left here with Les, about 3 minutes, and I want just enough time for him to finish off this list. I asked Les moments ago what he has learned, what he is learning from this multi-year battle that he is successfully waging against cancer that he's now using, of course. The thing about being a motivator like Les is whatever you go through, it becomes fodder for your presentations. He's living, he's learning, he's loving, he's laughing every day, and all of that becomes part of his presentation. Trust and believe. So the first thing you said you've learned, Les, all over again, is that time really matters. What else are you learning in this battle, sir?
Stay active. Mm-hmm. That when you look at where we are now, all of us have so much more to give. Miles Monroe said it best, live full and die empty. Mm. And I remember reading a quote that said, many a flower has bloomed unceasingly and wasted sweetness upon the cold desert air, that many a talented and gifted persons have gone unnoticed. But because they did not live a life of consequence, because they did not pay attention to developing themselves and detoxifying their lives and putting distance between them and people that weren't going in their direction, they took their greatness to their grave with them. And I want to leave this quote with you. Sometimes it's better to have a good friend than a bad relative.
You've had a few good friends in your life, sir.
Yes, indeed, without question, and that's you. And I want to thank you, sir, very much. There's one thing I'd like to say to people right now. Take care of your health. I read this quote, and it gave me chills. It said, if you have your health, you have 1,000 dreams. But if you don't have your health, you have only one.
No. That's rich. I get it. Enough said on that point. I get that. Les Brown, I love you. I appreciate you. I wish you nothing but the best in this year, and I want to just close as I began by saying thank you. Every year, I've done this for more years than I can count now on both radio and television. I've always called you at the start of every season, every new year, to empower me and those who are watching or listening to me, following me, and you've never told me no. And so once again in 2024, I mean, I as the years roll by, and you're now 79, I consider it an even greater blessing every year to be able to do this with you one more game. So thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded.
And that's how you close the show with Les Brown. I'm Tavis Smiley. Thanks for tuning in to our program today. We're here every day this year, weekdays that is, and it's gonna be quite the year. Got some great conversations on the docket for this week and all the weeks to come. We're going to take you a little higher this year on our program. That's our end and our aim. Thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley today. And as always, and until tomorrow, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest. Former New York Jets star Mohammed Wilkerson is arrested again for DWI. TMZ Sports reporting that Morris County Police pulled the African-American former player over for drunk